This is one of my favourite of the Waters Centre habits of a systems thinker. Changes perspectives to increase understanding. You can see this great little image here of a grown-up not really understanding what the child is pointing at, and he gets down to his perspective. Yes, it all makes sense, I see. So what's all this about? A systems thinker increases understanding by changing the way they view aspects of the system. By changing perspective, this is like empathy. By changing perspective, you step into somebody else's shoes, you see through their eyes, and you can see things differently. They might not be a person you really want to be like, but just viewing the world from their perspective changes the way you see it. It can soften any judgments that you feel like you have because you have some empathy and you realise they're coming from a perspective for a reason. But it can also just give you a whole new view of the world. I remember one Christmas when I was a teenager, we were having Christmas in a pub and there was loads of people around, Christmas meal, and it all got a bit overwhelming. And I ended up sitting under the table for a while. And that was such a different perspective. Just listening to the muted sounds, seeing all the feet, seeing people moving around, and it was just a really peaceful little place to be. Now, I don't recommend sitting under the table during a stakeholder meeting when you're trying to figure out a problematic situation. That might be taken the wrong way. But certainly get up, move around. This could be physically changing perspective. It could be changing perspective from who you're talking to. It could be changing perspective of the environment. So maybe view the problem from a different department, from a different group of people, from a different, this problem's impacting sales, but you go and look at it from the IT department. What's going on there? It's changing the perspectives. There are many different ways of viewing the same thing. I always use an example of a bowl of fruit. Just say you and me are sitting opposite each other and we have a bowl of fruit in the middle of us. And we both agree we're seeing a bowl of fruit, but I'm seeing bananas and pears and you're seeing apples and grapes. We don't know that we're seeing something completely different until such time as I can just imagine being in your shoes and seeing what you're seeing, particularly if I made the bowl of fruit and I know what's in it. But here we go. So some of the questions to ask. Am I open to other points of view? You can recognise your own biases and opinions, and I get better and better at that as a systems thinker. We have to be more aware of how we're influencing the system when we're in it. And we can be quite closed-minded because we can come into a situation being all opinionated, thinking we know the answers and we know what's right. And that can make us closed to some other points of view. So check in with yourself. Am I open to other points of view? Have I got my listening ears on? I used to say to my son, have you got your listening ears on? Have you got your listening ears on? Are you paying attention? Are you open to other people's opinions? How do different points of view influence the way I understand the system? And this can really change. You think you understand a system. You think you've got all the data you need to completely understand it. But it might be a different angle there will show you a different way of influencing it. It might show you a different way in, potentially. Maybe a different leverage point that you can use to influence the system that you hadn't been aware of. That maybe somebody has more influence in the system and can get things changed faster, just because you ask some more questions and you ask some more people. Who should I approach to help me gain new perspectives on an issue? It's always worth considering who else could possibly be involved in this system. As you go through a problematic situation, you'll probably select some stakeholders that you think are the people that are touching this problem in some way, shape or form. And as you go through, keep in mind that there may be more people. There may be more people that are influenced by this problem, that are affected, that are witnesses or victims, but they might have a different perspective on it. They might see something that we're all looking at as problematic. That's really quite useful, and it's worth considering that. The more you can find out about a situation, the richer your source of information is. And as I learn about new perspectives, am I willing to change my mind? Again, we can get so stuck in our ways and our mindsets, and we're right, we know the answer, particularly if we've gained all these tools and systems thinking, we know how to do this. We can get really quite arrogant and full of ego. So am I willing to change my mind? Sometimes you come in potentially as a consultant, and people are looking to you to have the answers, to have the solutions, to lead and make decisions. And it's really tempting to be authoritative. But actually, be a bit softer. Listen, lead by example. If you can change your mind in front of other people, they can change their mind. They can stand down a bit from that defensiveness that prevents us all from talking clearly and honestly and authentically, which you need to be able to find out what's in a situation. You need honesty. So the more you can encourage that by leading by example. Look, this is me being wrong. I was wrong. I've changed my mind. This is what it's like. So being open to those new perspectives, changing your mind. It's one of the things I really love. There's a title of a book. I've not read the book, love the title. Alan Watts, In My Own Way. And I just love that title because it means so many different things. I'm doing it in my own way, but I'm also in my own way. One of the key things about systems thinking is to get out of your own way. Recognise your biases, your opinions, the way you think you're right. And just be aware of those. Stand out on them, let that flow. And lead by example. Be a bit vulnerable, be a bit wrong. Be prepared to be comfortable with being wrong. People are really uncomfortable with uncertainty and being wrong and getting people's opinions. Actually, it doesn't matter. And the more relaxed you are, the more relaxed other people will be around you. Definitely worth remembering that.